Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of AttractWell, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, really glad you're here today.
We're excited to have you here today to talk about me pages for your website. Today, we're going to talk about the difference between about pages and bios and the different places you can use each. And we're going to explore a formula of how you can go about creating an about me page that works really well to convert your next best leads and clients that you are looking for into your business. We also have some exciting announcements. So we've got a lot to get into in today's call. Head into the chat if you're here live with us on Zoom. We're always excited to hear from you, what you're working on this week. If we haven't met you yet, introduce yourself. What do you do? Who do you help? How do you do it? We are always thrilled to learn more about the incredible people in our community. You inspire us, and you're the reason why we do what we do. If you aren't familiar with us, and this is a new session for you, AttractWell is an all-in-one platform that serves your coaching, consulting, or course creation business. If you serve clients and people are your product, right? If you are serving people as the work that you do, chances are we are the home for you, and we make your life simpler and easier. And part of that is by joining us on these live calls every Thursday, where you have the opportunity to dig a little deeper and refine what you have in place or create something entirely new to serve your business. So Greg and I are going to pop out a video and get into some slides that I've prepared for you. And then, of course, we will get into today's training. So again, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today. Today, we are talking about how to create an About Me page that works for your business, that converts clients and subscribers. So first things first, we do have an exciting announcement to make today. Greg is going to share an interactive page and page section feature that you are going to love, especially if you are selling things on your website. We'll talk about what is in an effective About Me page. We'll talk about me pages versus a professional bio and why you need both of these. We'll have the formula and the workflow to get them done. And we'll talk about how we can set these up in AttractWell, along with, as always, closing out the call with live help and Q&A. So if you're watching us in our Facebook group and you'd like to run over and join us on Zoom, you can go to attractwell.com/office hours. Same to you if you're watching this as a replay on our YouTube channel. We would love for you to come and join us on a live call in the future. If you would like to work together on a call like this one, you can set aside time with us on an upcoming Thursday call. We're live every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. Attractwell.com/work review is where you're going to want to go for that. And if you would like for someone to get this stuff done for you or with you, you can go to attractwell.com/concierge to learn about our team and how they can help you with whatever you're working on in your business. Now, I haven't done this yet, but Greg, I'm going to go ahead and make you co-host so you can share this really exciting update to our system.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ashley. I will share my screen here. Cool. So if you've been following us here in the last, I don't know, 3-4 office hours, we've been sharing some updates that we've been making to the page builder. And there's another one here that I'd like to share. If you're in our Facebook group, you probably already got a sneak peek of this, but I wanted to demo it here today and tell you guys here what it is. Let me pull up a page. I'll just pick a random template here because it doesn't really matter. But the new feature is when you go to add the section, there's this interactive tab over here, which is relatively new. That's what we've been adding when we've been adding the accordion and the carousel, which we've covered in previous weeks. But the new exciting thing today is the countdown timer. So you can add essentially scarcity to your, in a deadline, whatever, to your website, so that there's a real end to it. If you have an offer or sales page, something like that, that has a limited time, then this thing can just automatically take care of it for you. You set the date and time that it expires, and then it can forward people on to another page at that time. So I'll click on it here and you can see the options, pretty straightforward. Pick when it is that you want it to go to or when you want it to deactivate, and it'll set the timer accordingly. You can style it if you'd like, if you want to get fancy with it or brand it to you or whatever. And then of course you can change your font on top of that, as well as changing the size depending, because sometimes some fonts that look tinier than others. But probably the most important thing over here is this: go to the URL when the countdown timer expires. So you can just put in any link you want there. And then when the countdown expires, the page or the visitor will automatically be redirected to whatever that page is that you put in there. which could be something else. It depends on your offer, but they would have missed that specific thing. In addition to that, we talked about the accordions and the carousels in previous weeks, but there's been a change of that too. Now, if you would like it in a specific section, for example, for some reason, if I want to replace this with, I don't know, a carousel, when you're clicking to edit that section, go up under the Add Element button here, and there's a new interactive tab, and you can choose between like accordion, carousel, countdown timer. So I'll just go ahead and put a carousel in here, and you could, you see that there's a carousel down there for your visitors to use. So you can, this is actually, it's probably most effective. I'll just go ahead and delete this here, but on the sections like this, FAQs, I've seen this pretty common format. Like they'll say FAQ over here, for example, and then maybe there's a little something there, and then you have your whatever the FAQ is, and that you can go in here and edit that. So anyway, it allows for a lot of extra styling and page layout possibilities that previously weren't possible with those specific widgets. So yeah, we're excited about these changes. We've got some positive feedback in our Facebook group yet. So these were all changes that came from people requesting these things, and we had ways of doing them before, but they were difficult. So happy to provide this streamlined way of making these things, and hopefully it makes your sites a little bit better and your sales pages more effective and all that. So back to you, Ashley.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. I'm so excited for us to be able to incorporate that into a future updated training on sales pages. All right, so for those of us who are here now, do you have an About Me page on your website? Is this something that you have developed already? Is it something that's in progress? Tell us about it. Do you have one set up for your website? Let us know in the chat. So let's talk about the difference between an About Me page versus a professional bio. They are not the same thing, and they are used in different ways. So a bio is going to be succinct, right? It is 2 to 3 short paragraphs that concisely shares who you are, who you help, what it is that you do, right? It's your who, you help, and how. And it's often going to be written in the third person. The reason why you might include a bio written in the third person is because a bio is often what you provide to others to facilitate them communicating to their audience about you. So if you're being interviewed, if you're being introduced, right? If you have a press kit on your website, if you intend to be found and sort of consulted as an expert, a bio written in the third person is going to be pretty valuable. And so this bio can be used, elements can be incorporated into your About page, but the bio itself can be used on your social media in the bio section. So like on LinkedIn or Facebook, Instagram, etc. And also, again, as part of your press kit, you'll be able to use this to give to people who will interview you if you're going to be interviewed on a podcast or a video of some kind, interviewed in a publication, if you're going to be introduced on stage, if you're going to guest blog, whatever that might look like, you're going to want to have a bio, but an About page is different. An About page is a place on your website, a specific page that lives on your website that speaks directly to your ideal client. I like to imagine an About page as being the sort of web page embodiment of an introductory conversation with somebody who's a really great fit for your business. You've maybe met at a networking event or at a friend's party or something like that, and you're having a conversation, right? It's very congenial, and we are speaking one-to-one directly to our person. And this About page, as such, is going to be written a little bit more like a letter. So instead of being something that is, I do this, I help this person, I went to school here, I graduated with this, I'm certified in that, that's more bio type stuff, right? An About page is going to be more like a letter that is that's written in the context of what really matters to your ideal client. And it's going to be formatted to include things like testimonials, case studies, things like that, social proof, to really back up the story that you're telling, because it is a conversation in theory, but it's not one that you're actually there and present for. So we do want to provide more of that supporting information that guides this in the same way that you would be able to guide a conversation if you were standing right in front of your ideal client and having a conversation with them, right? So it's going to have that special formatting. It's going to pop in those testimonials where it matters. And very importantly, because your about page is such a powerful part of your website, we want to make sure that we have a call to action here for someone to register for a lead magnet, a newsletter, or any other kind of offer that you're trying to feature or focus on your website. It's a really important opportunity for conversion. So about me pages specifically, this is where people go to find out if you are a fit for them. So what's in their head when they go to an about page isn't just who is this person, but it's how can I know if this person is right for me? Do I want to continue listening to them? Do I like what they have to say? Do I want to see if they offer something that I might be open to? They're evaluating you, right? And so it's important that you don't just put you out there, but you put you out there for them. Okay, so this is going to be your more serious and inquisitive visitor to your website. This is, again, it's one of the more powerful places that you can develop on your website, because where people might just go to your homepage or discover you via a blog post, the second place that most people are going to go if they're serious and they're curious about you is to your about page, because they want to see what you're about, right? So this is, again, ripe opportunity for you to put the right information and to connect more deeply with the people that you want in your business. And if you are able to quickly and simply answer their "what's in it for me" question that's running through their mind while introducing yourself, you win. You get a new lead, you get someone into your funnel, and you have someone who feels like they know you better, trusts you well enough, and is ready to move forward to next steps with you. So the way that we make about pages work is different from a bio. Instead of telling information, we're telling a story, and we're inviting your person into a story. Now, we're not literally writing prose, to tell a story. It was a dark, stormy night. It was this, it was that, right? No, we are leading them through a story that involves them. And you'll see more of what I mean in just a minute. So let's talk about this. How do I go about creating an about me page? My recommendation: create your bio first, because you're going to have a little chirp in the back of your mind that's wanting to mention this certification and that story and this experience and so on. And we want to really separate these two things, right? The bio is actually quite a bit easier to write because it's very straightforward. But conceptualizing how you carry on a conversation on a web page that's designed to function almost like a back and forth between your website and their brain, that's a little bit harder to conceptualize, right? So we'll get the bio out of the way so that the straightforward black and white stuff doesn't necessarily bleed into what really needs to be more of an emotion forward conversation on an about me page. So here's how we write our bio. First, I want you to condense your name, your who you help and how statement into 1 to 2 sentences. Then I want you to use client results to demonstrate how effective you are at what you do. Then, where applicable, outline any relevant education or experience following that mention of how well you work with clients. Then, as a final touch, add some personality in here, include just a little bit about you. All right. And a final thing here, I want you to remember, and this is going to carry over into how we talk about your About Me page as well. A paragraph in the copywriting world is usually a sentence or a couple of sentences. It's more important for you to have less information in smaller chunks, right? You can have more pieces of those chunks, right? Lots of sections or lots of quote unquote paragraphs, but that have less stuff in them, because the brain, when it sees on a screen a big block of text, it resists moving forward, right? And we really want to invite people to engage. So paragraphs in copywriting are short, and sometimes they are in fact actually sentences. These are not academic paragraphs that you learned about in school. All right, so I'll give you an example of a bio. Jane is a wellness expert who helps women in their 40s rediscover their energy and vitality so they can live younger longer. Through her workshops, publications, and group programs, she's helped over 10,000 women sleep better, drop unwanted pounds, and feel 10 years younger. Jane has studied herbal medicine for 21 years alongside luminaries in the fields of Ayurveda, homeopathy, nutrition, and neuroscience. When she's not working with clients, you can find Jane in her herb garden, attending Tai Chi classes in her favorite park, or in the kitchen, tending to her latest ferments. This tells you a little bit about her, right? You have a pretty clear idea of who she is. Didn't take up a lot of your space of time, right? Doesn't take up a lot of space on the page or in your mind. Pretty straightforward to get a picture of who she is. This is what I want you to model for your bio. Now, once we have that out of the way, now we can focus on our About Me pages, all right? So let's talk about what is in an About Me page. First, photo, at least one of you looking, smiling straight at the camera. What's happening when someone lands on this page, ideally, is that they're seeing the smiling picture of them looking at you and you're introducing yourself. It's just like saying hello in person for the first time, smiling, shaking hands, meeting somebody that would be a great fit for your business, right? So naturally, what we're going to have alongside that photo of you is that who I help and how statement. Now, hopefully you have one of these already. I help this type of person get, do, be, have this thing, right? Overcome this thing so that they can get the thing that they really want, right? Who I help and how. Then you want to introduce a little bit of your background, but put it in context with your ideal client's currencies, meaning what's most important to them. So we don't want them to have to sit through and read through all of your certifications and where you went to school and all of the stuff of what you do. Because at the end of the day, that's not what your client wants, right? To use a very simple analogy here, if you're a contractor and you remodel bathrooms, they want their bathroom done. They don't care about how your drill works, right? So make sure that whatever kind of background information you're including on a page like this is something that really only shares information that's relevant to them in the context of what's important to them. Then we want to share information that relates and resonates with our client. We want to share client stories and testimonials wherever possible to back up our claims and show social proof. We'll talk a little bit about how to work together or what working with you looks like. And then finally, you have to make sure you've got some kind of a call to action to subscribe to your newsletter, get your free offer, or whatever the thing is that you're featuring right now on your website. So we're going to go through an exercise here. We've got a flow of sort of what we do to develop the copy for our page, and then I'll actually talk you through what it takes to create one and show you an example of how we can get it done. So, but before we do all of that, I want you to forget about you, because your About Me page, while it is quote unquote about you, it is not. It is actually about who you are in the context of what's important for your ideal client, right? So here's our prep for our About Me page. I want you first to think about your best client ever, your favorite client you've ever had. If you could clone them, you would fill your business with this person. Now, if you're new and you don't have a best or favorite client yet, I want you to imagine who that person is and make them as real and complete and human as possible. Know where they shop, have an idea of what their hobbies are, how old they are. They are not just their set of symptoms, right? Think about who they are. They're probably going to be representative of an individual or a mashup of a couple of individuals that you know, and maybe even a prior version of yourself, right? So think about your best or favorite client. What are their biggest frustrations, their challenges, their needs? What's important to them? And what are they specifically out there in the world trying to solve for themselves right now that would have them land on a website like yours to learn more about the stuff that you talk about? What are they facing that they could need your help with? And what do they value in life, in work, in relationships? Again, we don't want to create a two-dimensional problem plus this equals solved, right? We want to really humanize that whole person and acknowledge that the reason why they want to handle their frustrations and challenges isn't because they just have frustrations and challenges. It's because there's something on the other side of it that they want, right? Or there is something in their life that's being impacted in some way that they want to change. We want to know what that is. Think about what drew them to you in the first place. What caused them to find you and say yes to working with you? What did they find most helpful in your work together? All of these are going to reflect the kind of information you're going to want to put onto your about page and the story that you're going to be telling. What did they appreciate about you the most personally? How did you connect on a personal level with your perfect client? What are the things you guys have in common? What do they love about you? What made them decide that they are just so excited to speak with you? It's not just because they have a problem and they want to solve it. There's something about you specifically that resonates with them. So with all of that in mind, we've dug into who our favorite client is. Let's pause for a second and rewind and imagine your dialogue with this person from the beginning, from hello. Hi, I am Jane. I help women in their 40s have more energy so that they can live younger longer, right? Whatever that looks like for you. Hi, this is me. Start from there. Then you also want to choose your call to action and whatever it is that you're going to offer on the page. So if you know for absolute certain you want to be moving someone who loves what they hear on this page toward a call with you, great. You can do that. You want to move them towards your newsletter? Even better. Great, do that. You want to move them toward a freebie, a lead magnet, a funnel that you have, a webinar that you run, whatever that might be. Make sure you're clear on what you're going to offer, because ultimately what we're doing is when we're reimagining this conversation, that dialogue from hello, we want the close of the conversation for you to be for you to offer whatever it is that you're going to offer. And we need to have that be something that flows, that makes sense, right? Something contextual. We're talking about a problem together. Hey, by the way, I've got a thing that can help you solve that. Head over here and check it out, right? And then finally, we're going to connect our dots, right? From that rewound conversation, starting from hello, all the way through to whatever it is that we're going to offer them to take advantage of on this page, how can we tell a story that places what you're offering, that's the free thing you're offering, as a solution? We're going to create a narrative here, a conversation, if you will, anticipating the responses in their mind as they're reading, right? That's why we insert things like testimonials throughout, right? Because if you say, I help them do this, part of their brain's going to be like, yeah, but who else has had this, right? And then those testimonials show up, right? We're imagining their response as we're carrying on this fictitious conversation. All right, so this is the formula for writing your About Me page. First, introduce yourself authentically, and don't overthink this. It can literally be, hi, I am whatever your name is. It could be as simple as that. We're then going to have our who I help and how statement. Reword that as necessary. If you have it originally written in third person, write it in first person, because this is a conversation. Then we're going to talk about the big problem that you and your client can relate to. And we're going to insert our why, right? Because we're going to have this transformative conversation here. Follow me here on this. Hi, I'm Jane. I help this type of person get, do, be, have this thing so that they can have this thing that they really want. And if that person is the ideal client, they're saying, oh my God, Jane, where have you been all my life? That sounds amazing. Tell me more about that. And then Jane says, well, do you know how, when this happens, etc. She's talking about a problem, right? And then she talks a little bit about how she helps clients through that problem. And then Jane says, how long have you been doing this? Or how did you get into this? This is where your why comes in. This is where you say, you know, it happened a handful of years ago. I made the decision to start doing this after this happened. And now I'm on a mission to whatever your vision is, right? That's where this why comes in. Because remember, this is a dialogue in your reader's mind. Then I want you to paint the possibilities. Put the brush in their hand and help them imagine what their life could look like. This is where you can talk about some of the benefits, some of the outcomes, some of the achievement of solutions to problems they're very familiar with and absolutely have, things that they're struggling with, or just here focus on what they want. Imagine being able to have this, do this, be that. Paint that picture. And then, of course, again, insert those case studies and testimonials where you have them. You can tell this in a story format, or you can use maybe image-based testimonials if you have those from your clients. And then we're going to transition into the call to action, right? So we've talked about the problem. We've talked about why we know what we're talking about, right? From the perspective of our why and what we're doing. And you can absolutely throw in, how many years you've done this and a little bit about your background of study, sure, if that's something that's important to you to include. Show them what they could have, right? Let them hear that from you so that they could see themselves doing that with you. And then you say, are you ready, right? Call to action. Is that something you want? If it is, here's where you're going to go. And that's where we're going to point to whatever the free thing is that you're giving away. This is the formula for your About Me page. This is the flow, top to bottom, of what you want to have on your About Me page. So here's the workflow for getting this done. First, I want you to choose an About page template in AttractWell, and I'll show you exactly where to go, and I'll even pick one and do a rough walkthrough of what that could look like for you. I want you to include your photo, your who I help and how statement, and I want you to put it above the fold. Now, there are instances if you have a well-converting offer that ideally has some kind of image involved in it that has your face, you could alternately put an offer above the fold here, like, my webinar helps you get Doobie, have this thing, etc. You could put something like that above the fold and then put this section beneath it. That is doable. Just depending on how you have your website set up and what's important to you. But generally speaking, having this at the top is going to be a great best practice. Include your photo, who I help and how statement. That again, that's your handshake on this page. Hey, this is me. This is what I do. How you doing with your photo? Okay. Now, beneath this, we're going to tell our story. And we're going to do this in multiple sections. And I want you to be really mindful of how much copy you put into each section, because we want the eye to easily flow down the page. It's better to have more sections with a couple of sentences in them than to have one section with 20 sentences in it. You have one section with 20 sentences, you're going to have a tough time getting people to actually make it through that. That's just how the internet works, unfortunately. We don't treat it like a book. So less copy, more sections, and format these so that the eye wants to continue moving down the page. And again, I'll show you what that looks like. If you have client testimonials, make sure that you're inserting them near the sections where you're talking about who you've helped or specific benefits and outcomes you create, right? So if you're talking about a particular outcome that you create and you've got 2 client testimonials that speak to that outcome, that's going to be where you want to put it, right? And then in its own section, you want to feature your lead generating offer, right? You're going to want to transition that story, of course, too. If you're ready to this, that, or the other, you're going to want to check out my guide on this or my webinar on that, etc. And then you have a new section where you offer your an image of what you offer and the copy for it, or just the copy and a form, right? And then, of course, sign off, because this is a letter, right? We're telling them that we're so excited to meet them, and we are inviting them, if they like what you guys have talked about here on this page and this conversation that you've had together, they are able to move forward with your next steps. Now, let's go get into how we create one. And I want to talk with you guys first about what we do with our bio on our site. So let's go over to our AttractWell system here. And first things first, we will be creating an About Me page in just a moment, but I want to show you where to put your bio, that just straightforward bio that you created. Now, one of the best places to put this is right here under My Story and Photo. That's under your website and blog menu. So My Story and Photo. You can take the same photo that you're going to use on your About page, pop it right here. You could even put right here, hi, I'm Jane. Hi, I'm your name, whatever. Put your bio right here. And then save your changes. Now, call to action on a My Story and Photo section like this needs to be, if you want to learn more, contact me, or just whatever it is, contact me, because wherever this shows up, it will have a contact button where it pops up a generic form with your photo, with your name, with contact information, and a place for folks to put in their name, their email address, and a message to you, so they can reach out to you directly through your website. Now, if you have an About Me page, you can actually head over here and put in something to the effect of read more here. I'm going to copy this text here real quick, and we're going to insert a link to the About Me page, if she has one. I don't remember if she has one. I don't think Jane has one yet. So we'll just pretend that she does. We'll say that this is it. You can link to your About Me page here. We can say read more. We can give it a button, right? And so you can have your bio, and then you can invite people to go read more about you and send them to your About Me page. Now, this My Story and Photo is going to show up wherever you tell it to. Now, if you're just getting started with AttractWell, this is your default homepage for your website. So this is a fine place to start. Pop your bio in here, have that contact call to action, because the button's already going to be showing up there for you. And then you could go back and modify this later to send them to your About page if you would like for them to go learn more. Now, this is also going to show up at the bottom of your landing pages if you select here. So if you use the landing page feature, which is a very simplified page format for offering things on your website, I'll show you an example of one. So if we look at this one, you can see that Jane's About Me is actually showing up down here at the bottom. And here's that contact form, send message, right? So it can show up at the bottom of landing pages. It'll also show up at the bottom of your individual blog posts and your individual event listings. It can also show up at the archive, the list of your blog posts and the list of your events. Your choice. You check or uncheck these based on how you want to have that set up. So this is going to insert your bio anywhere on your website that you want it to show up based on these things. And then, of course, you can always point them to your About Me page once you've created it, right? If you don't have it already. So this is where you're going to want to put your bio. Now, for your About Me page, which is a little bit bigger of a project, but an admittedly fun and interesting one to embark on, we're going to go to Add Page. And then we're going to go over here to About. And you see we have 8 different templates for About Me pages. So there's a lot to work with here. I'm going to use this gray About one right here, because it's actually a really nice page with lots of animations and good formatting. It looks good on different sized devices, and it's pre-formatted for that, right? So we're going to use this as our template. You can actually see that this behaves quite nicely on these different device sizes. All right, and you could, of course, change these images in the backgrounds, and there are, for what it's worth, at the bottom here, you can grab these Canva templates and make them your own, right? So if you want to change anything that's on this page design-wise, right? So this background, etc., you do have those templates to work with, so it is complete. So starting here, this is where we are going to say hi. It's where we're going to introduce ourselves. And then here, underneath, this is where we're going to put our who I help and how statement, right? And I'm actually going to increase the size of this. It was already formatted, I think, pretty well, but I accidentally backed it up. So here we go. So I put my who I help and how statement here. This is probably going to be a bit longer, right? So we're going to put our nicely prominently placed here, good large text. who I help and how statement. This is, if you guys notice, and we do have training on mobile, sort of the mobile responsiveness here, but essentially this one is for wider devices and not for tall devices. And this section is going to have the exact same information, but it is not for wide devices, it is for tall devices, right? So if I take this information here and I say the same thing, and I want to make this actually quite a bit smaller here. And I'll make this just slightly bigger. You can actually see when we preview this, next to your smiling face, you're going to see who I help and how with a nice photo of you, and it's going to look great on mobile as well, right? So that's our first thing. This is our handshake up here at the top. Now, this is where we start moving into talking about the problem. This is where we start relating to our ideal client. And so here, this is where we could say something like, have you ever felt like, right? And then you can say whatever it is that you want to say here. You could put in, because remember, we're telling a story. You could even put in some bullets, have you been this? Have you been that, right? So bullets. Have you been this? What about that, right? You can absolutely put this kind of stuff in here. Again, you don't want to get too crazy with the volume of text that you put in here. And of course, here we do not need a call to action. We're going to do that later. And here again, you can see this is a wide device only section. So whatever you ultimately decide to put here in terms of your story and photo for this section, you're going to repeat down here, and that's going to be the mobile version. All right. Now, let's just say, for instance, you have talked about a story of how you've overcome something, how you've helped a client overcome something. Now is a really great time to introduce a testimonial or two. So this is actually pretty well formatted if you wanted to just make this a testimonial, right? Here's what the client said, here's their name, etc., right? Or you could delete this content. I'm going to recenter this. We're going to go to add element. And we could even make a, let's see, fill entire carousel with image. We could even make a carousel of our client testimonials, right? Provided that they are image-based. So we could actually have a carousel testimonial section right here that reflects on or provides social proof for whatever we've just said, right? Now, remember when we were talking about our back and forth conversation, there's an opportunity here for them to ask you, well, why do you do this? What made you choose to get into this, right? This would be a fantastic section for that, right? Where you could say something about your belief, right? Like the reason why, the driving reason why you do what you do, and then maybe giving a little bit more of a personal story that backs up, again, why you do what you do. And this section and this section are companions. This one is for wide devices. This one is for mobile. Another opportunity appears again for testimonials or case studies if you'd like. And these again are companion, right? This one is wide and this one is tall. Now we can, actually include more sections here if we want to continue that conversation further. I would encourage you, again, to, in lieu of having a section that has loads and loads of text, that you kind of break things up a bit, right? Insert something like a header where you can give it a nice contrasting, did not mean to make that not mobile friendly. We're going to give the background like a nice contrast from the rest of the page to really draw attention here. And this is where we might say something compelling, right? That reflects something in our text. And then we'll have, one above and one below. And so this way, again, we're giving the eye a reason to continue looking, to continue scrolling. This is the whole point of not putting massive paragraphs in here. They only get a little bite and we want them to want more. So we don't say too much And then we keep it going and, ooh, here's a thing that I can click through and I can watch, right? And then we move on to the next thing. And it's just a little bit at a time. You're telling your story in these little pieces. And the animations obviously do a great deal to help move things along. And then finally, we have a couple of options for the sort of call to action, the close of your about page. And that is number one, we can create a a work with me section, as you see here, where instead of giving someone one choice, you're giving them multiple. This isn't really the best converting way to go about setting up offers for a page on your site, especially a page where you could really drive them directly toward an offer that's relevant to the conversation you've been having on this page. If you are having a conversation on this page with your ideal client, and there is one thing that you absolutely know you want to put in front of them, I would forego a section like this. If you're unclear, or if you serve maybe more broadly several different profiles of individuals, then this might be something that you keep on your page. But the final thing that you would do, and this is going to show up as a form on the page, is actually invite them to take that next step. So you can actually see in the page settings here under leads what the lead capture looks like. There's actually nothing here right now, but you could certainly add images, text, a headline, etc., and modify the different features like the contact button and what questions you're asking someone. But what it ultimately looks like when they get all the way down to the bottom of that page is it's going to offer them a form right here where they can opt in. And you can actually see what it looks like on mobile here as well. And that's essentially it. What we are trying to do here is to have a conversation with somebody and to break up those little pieces of the conversation. Like, if obviously you sit here with me every Thursday, a lot of you, and we're not having a whole lot of a back and forth. It's just me doing this the whole time, right? But if we were in a one-on-one environment, that would be a much shorter exchange, right? I'd be saying a lot less, you'd be saying a bit more. And so I want you to think about how you set this page up as what the phrases might be that you actually say inside of a conversation like that. They are asking you this question, they're thinking this thing, and we're going to provide them with sort of what that next logical step is in a conversation. And this is why it's so important to go through that prep, like what I talked with you about earlier in the slides today. And that is to really rewind and imagine your first conversation with your perfect ideal client, right? From hello to introducing yourself. Here's what I do. Here's why I do it. We don't just dump all of that out all at once, right? When we meet somebody, it's kind of drawn out because questions are asked and there are reasons to kind of transition to those different places. So I want you to really keep that in mind as you are developing sections for this page, because what you're ultimately doing is leading that conversation with those phrases. And you really should have a section per phrase, right? Or per point you want to make. Really always try to err on the side of creating more sections because it's more visual interest with less stuff in the sections so that people get just what they need and then they want to keep scrolling and find the next thing. Because the more we get them scrolling, the more likely they are to want to move toward whatever the conclusion of that page is. And if you're keeping them engaged in the dialogue of what you're including, the copy in these sections, they're going to be really likely to say yes to whatever it is that you're offering. And these really are, because these are people who are deciding to want to know who you are. These are the people that are most likely to convert if they land on your website. They land on a blog post, you offer a free thing. They're like, yeah, okay, everybody offers free stuff on their website, but who is this person? And then they go to your about page. If that's your person, that's where they're going to opt in, right? So this is a really great opportunity to connect deeply. Use those other places where you can insert your bio in a more plain black and white way. Use that My Story and Photo page, feature really of our website, because it shows up in lots of places. Put that on your social profiles, put it in your press kit, etc. Or you could even create a block down at the bottom. There was a site I was looking at earlier today, a big coach of coaches, who has this great sort of, story page, right? And at the very bottom, there's a section that's like, and for those of you who are just looking for a bio for me, here it is. And then it's third person. So the whole thing is first person until she's like, by the way, if this is what you're looking for, here you go. And it's, it's kind of delivered with a little bit of humor. So yeah, I hope you guys got a lot out of this and are excited to move forward with it. Definitely let me know in the Q&A if you have any questions about this topic or others, and I'm happy to help you with that. Mark asked in the Q&A, what do you recommend as far as the length of the About Me copy? So really, it's more about it's more about not having too much copy in a section. This page can be long, right? So long as you're keeping it about them. What I would do is I would kind of write it out in a word processor, right? Write out sort of what the dialogue would be. Like you're writing a script, right? But it's your first conversation with your client, the questions they're asking you and all of that. Write that out. And your talking points in the script are going to be the sections more or less that you put on your site. You're probably not going to talk about, say 3 paragraphs at a time to someone in a conversation. Therefore, if you're keeping it in line with your conversational phrasing, then it's going to work pretty well with you lengthwise. And so long as you're staying on the point, this can be a very long page, and there's not a problem with that. I will say this, if it is very long, I would encourage you to insert maybe 50%, 75% of the way through, one of those two, some kind of an opt-in, some kind of a call to action, right? So, want all my updates, get on my newsletter, something like that. So if it does turn out to be a very long page, just remember at least halfway through to 75% of the way through to add some kind of an opt-in on the page. Okay, now today we have a live work review booked. Karen, I'm going to bring you out here in just a moment. I got one more question from Cheryl. There are 2 components of inclusivity and the DEIB movement that are overlooked, diversity of self. I don't know which website to use for AttractWell based on my goals. Okay, Cheryl, I would be thrilled to have a quick conversation with you. If you have some time today and would be willing to chat here on this call, I can bring you out. Oh, no, it's totally fine. You're good. If you would like to chat through this together live, though, invitations open, just let me know in the Q&A or in the chat, and I'll bring you out after I chat with Karen. Would be happy to do that. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So let me go find you here, Karen, and we can chat through this. Hey, how's it
Hello.
going?
Oh, good. How are you?
Really good, really good. Glad to have you here today.
Thanks. Thanks for doing this. This is amazing.
Oh, I'm glad to help. So I think some of what we talked about today might be a little relevant to the question that you came for, right? You have an event coming up and you want to include bio information?
I couldn't believe that this was what you were talking about. I'm like, I think they're talking about me.
It's good timing.
No, it's perfect. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Well, does that resolve the question, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
It sounds like on my event page, I should have a little about me section is what I'm gathering. Because I did a web page, a home page, which I did do an about me section. I didn't know it was called that, but I did, I think. And I didn't do one though on the event page, which really lends people to not know who's even holding the event.
Yeah, so this is going to be where, I'm going to log into your event, your site here real quick, and we can take a look together.
Awesome.
Essentially,
Okay.
what you're going to want to make sure that you do is create an about page at some point. You don't have to do that right away, but 100% you need to go to the My Story and Photo section under website and blog, have that filled out, and then you can take that same information and put that onto pages on your website for sure. Here, let me go show you. So where you're going to want to go.
Like it was
Yeah, so it's this not customize my site, sorry, My Story and Photo.
Mhm.
There you go. You've got your photo. And this is where you're going to want to put your bio. So just drop it here. And
Okay.
then when you have events, if you check these, for instance, then this information, whatever you put here, will show up at the bottom of your events and your events digest.
Awesome. I think it was under maybe a landing page. I'm not sure, but
That's another place you could put it as well. Yeah. So landing pages, that's going to be this built-in feature inside of, so it's different from pages in that they're very limited in their function. So landing page, oh, you've got one here. Yeah. So
oh,
if you had
oh
this
yeah.
set up, then it would actually show up down underneath this section here, right? So
Okay.
if we go back to my story and photo, and here I'll just put, you know, okay, so if we save that and oops, what's going on here, Safari? All right, we are going to, let me just refresh this real quick. All right, so we're going to put this on your landing pages, and I'm just going to save this. All right, and then if we go and we look at that landing page, you'll see where it shows up at the bottom. But you'll just need to modify what's here, right? Because right now it doesn't
Okay.
have, you know, your
Mhm.
any copy or anything there.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my event page is under pages.
Yeah, so in that one, you would just want to create the page that you're using. You would just want to create a 2-part section. So here's the event, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm open to any feedback of what looks right and doesn't look right.
Well, I love how clean the design is. What I would do is just down here at the bottom, have a 2-column situation here. Swap this with a photo of you. Put your
Okay.
bio right here, and then if you have an about page, you can link it in this button.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And then it's basically going to replicate what that My Story and Photo would be doing on the built-in theme pages of the system.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank
Is
you
that it?
so much. You guys are amazing. Yeah, that was it.
All right, great. Glad we could help.
Thanks. It's an amazing platform.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. We so appreciate you and thank you for that. Nilda says, I created a landing page, but like the template Karen is using, do I have to recreate the information or can I just change the template? So anytime you have a template, you are gonna want to make it your own, of course. But we do have this thing called copy in page. So let's just say, for instance, that Karen chose to use this section right here as an about, put a photo here, put copy here, links, etc. And she's really happy with how this one looks, right? And I'm going to delete this because I don't want to mess up her existing pages. But if we were to go to another page, and we wanted to copy that same thing that we did on our about page, all we would need to do is click here and then use this copy in another page button, and you would find the page that has that designed section that you like, and it's going to copy the whole page in, but you can just delete the other parts of it, right, that you don't want. So that's how you can actually take what it was a template design that you made your own and copy it into other pages on your site. Okay. Let me see, Cheryl, I'm going to bring you out to chat. How can we help?
Oh gosh, so I can personally apologize to everybody. I had no
It's
clue
okay.
some of that book I was working on was still in memory when I added this. So I am sorry.
How
I'm
neat.
bad, but I'm not usually that bad. So I signed up with AttractWell over a month ago. So I guess about a month ago, and then for this extra special thing, and I haven't been able to do anything on it because for several reasons, not just the holidays, but I'm ready. But here's my dilemma. I have my existing website, empowerstrategist.com, right? That was supposed to be for the business aspect because I have a personal solution but it crosses over into business and vice versa, because I'm leading in with the speaker. So that was supposed to be the main thing. I originally followed StoryBrand. I've had no luck, no nothing. I've tried everything. It looks like crap now because I keep messing with it. And every time I do something in Elementor, I screw up something else. So no way to figure it out. I found y'all and thought, good, I'm creating my curriculum, so I need a place to host it. So I actually have my website for my business. I have one that I was told to create separate for my speaker page, that's CherylHayes.com. And then got some advice saying, well, they'll never spell your name right, so why, brand yourself, why do that? But they don't spell empowering properly either. So I'm screwed on both aspects of it. So now I have another website that I just registered the domain, Empowering You, which I thought might be good to host the curriculum side, but it's too much. And I'm just doing that right now as holding places. So I don't understand which one I should bring under y'all to set up what I do. Do I need all three of them? Do I just need to hold them but not use them so that I can redirect? Guidance on that, because I don't know where to get started.
Okay.
And if it means porting everything under to y'all, then I'll scrap whatever I have. If you saw it, you would go, please scrap it. But just any kind of guidance or help, because I've got to get moving with this.
Okay. Question for you. You mentioned there being several aspects to what you do. Is there a is there a gulf between those aspects of what you do, or are they pretty similar? They're just different offerings that you have.
It's different. So I'm a personal leadership expert.
Okay.
You cannot effectively lead others unless you lead yourself. So my tagline, for better or worse, but I'm not changing it, is you have to be empowered. You have to become empowered to be empowering. And within that, there's a framework that I developed over 25, 30 plus years. It's backed by science, but that starts with personal leadership, and it gets into a personal journey, but it also, if you want, that's the personal curriculum, but it can start from just the business standpoint. So I start there. It gets into the niche of redefining executive presence. And then another niche is leadership in the age of AI.
Okay.
Not using AI as a title, as a solution, but how do you lead in this paradigm shift?
Got
it's
you.
all related. I'm an executive coach. I'm a keynote speaker. I do workshops. I do want to offer a mastermind in my curriculum. Those are the services to present the solutions that I have.
Got you. Yeah, Cheryl, you need one website, and you can bring it all to AttractWell, and it can be yourname.com. And I don't know why somebody would say you can't brand yourself with your name if it's spelled slightly different from someone else's. It's 2023. We are more interconnected as a globe than we have ever been in the history of ever. And so people with different sounding or different spelled names, you're fine. You're fine. There are ways to lean into it, right? You are probably, if you're going to be speaking from a stage and you're concerned about whether somebody is going to get the right name to type into an address bar, QR codes exist now that you can put on your slides. There are so many ways to deal with that. No, you need to brand your name, because that's where your value is. And so you can keep your Cheryl Hayes, bring that over to AttractWell. Imagine this: you have your business is a skyscraper. And when you walk into a large building that has lots of floors and different offices, there's usually a directory. So people can choose to go to floor 1 or floor 14 or office A or office 37 or whatever, right? That's your homepage and your menu. That's people walk into the lobby, which is your homepage, is your lobby. And from there, they can choose to work on themselves. They could choose to work on something different, right? They could choose to do this. They could choose to do that. And you don't need different website addresses for that. Absolutely don't. Now, you can park them. Yes. And you could use them as redirects in the future. So say, for instance, you launch product A, you own the domain name for it. It's very easy for you to be in your content, speaking and saying such and such.com for your product name. And that's still going to go to a page on your AttractWell site, but you're going to use in your hosting, you're just going to use that domain as a redirect to a page that's on your AttractWell site, on your CherylHayes.com, right? So yeah, just all under one umbrella. That umbrella is your name. You can put it all in AttractWell. You don't need all those other things. Take what you learned from StoryBrand, because the storytelling works, right? But you don't need to run in 17 different directions to, like, technically speaking, to make it work for you. I think it's really more about figuring out who the ideal person is. Even if they are at different stages in the path, they've got things in common, right? Things in their heart, things in their mind, and their hobbies, and how they relate to people in the world. You brand for that person, and then you just show them the different options, right? Lane A, lane B. If you got, those two aspects of what you do, when they go to a work with me page, they've got door A and door B, and it's still on the
Okay.
same website.
All right. And y'all work with, like, what I would do with my existing page to either delete everything and reset it up after I move, the relevant information over, to where people aren't seeing, they're seeing something different if they go to their, like, empowerstrategist.com. It would really, like you said, redirect them back over to CherylHayes.com. Correct?
So if you are planning on keeping pages, so if there's a functional reason to keep something that lives on another hosting provider right now, then you could absolutely point to that from a menu on your AttractWell site, etc. I would say this: if you want to work with our team, they can help you with sort of a migration strategy and to even get things moved over and make them as close to a replicate as possible in AttractWell in your account, so that you don't have to have things in a bunch of different places. So that would be like a major recommendation, because they can kind of help you get everything screwed on straight. You've got a clear plan of what needs to happen, and to the degree that you would want to hire them to maybe do some of that for you, you certainly could. So I would recommend something like that. If you need to point to some other place and there's a need to keep it there, like if you have something on a WordPress or some other platform, and there's a functional need to keep it there, then there are ways to point back and forth between there and AttractWell. But in most
can't imagine
cases, you don't need to.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's a functional need. And I did sign up for your New Year's offer. And I think that it included some of that. I just
Yes.
haven't been able to dig back through my emails and figure out how I start using it and who I sign up with. So
Got you. Yeah. Well, if you want, just shoot me an email, ashley@attractwell.com. We'll make sure that you're connected with everything. But yeah, if you signed up for the Impact Amplifier Academy, that's $500 credit to use for that very thing if you want.
yeah, that would be one of the big selling points, because I know I'm an expert in what I do. I'm not an expert in what y'all do. So
That's kind of the whole
thank you for
point.
staying on and taking this.
Of course, yeah, we get to do
I am
that
just
for you
lost.
so that you can do more of what you do, right? You don't have to be an expert in this.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much. That Ashley, I'll probably reach out with saying, here's my starting point, what I need to do, and how do I change it then? And I'd appreciate
Perfect.
your insight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right, talk soon. All right, there was another question here from Carol. Do you put the About page in your menu under that with your bio page? So to answer that one first, Carol, you actually don't need to link to your bio. You like that bio, that's my story and photo, that's just a feature of your AttractWell site, where folks can go or basically they're scrolling down a page, right? So they don't go to that page. They go to a landing page and they see that at the bottom. Or they go to an event and they see that at the bottom. Or you copy that same information and you put it onto pages on your website as you like. And you can absolutely have a section, that includes your bio on your About page, but they do not need to be separate pages on your site. Feel like I just need a home page in my menu so people can get back to the home page once they move to another page. That's a matter of personal preference. You can have home as a menu item, and some people choose to do that. You don't have to, though, because, and this is something that's more of an intuitive design thing. When someone clicks your logo or your name, that's in the top left-hand corner of your site, that's going to take them to your homepage on AttractWell. So you could have home there. That's totally a matter of preference. It's not really a right or wrong thing. Let's see. Cheryl had a follow-up question there about capturing other spellings of your name. If another common spelling of your name exists as a URL that you could buy, sure, why not redirect that? You certainly could. I wouldn't worry too much about it though, big picture. Because the search engines are getting smarter and smarter with focusing queries toward the relevant answers. And they're probably going to be finding you not by Googling your name, right? Or just typing your web address. You're going to have a link below the video, or you're going to have a link in the show notes in a podcast, or a link in the description on YouTube, or, you know, people are going to discover you because of a blog post that ranked not because of your name, but because of the keywords that you used. So I wouldn't worry too terribly much about that. All right, I know if they click on my name at the top, it goes to the home page, but do people know how to do that? I think a lot of people do. If you're concerned about it for your audience, by all means, you can create home as a menu item, Carol. There's absolutely no problem with that at all. And yeah, if you already have a pretty long list of menu items, then you might consider leaving that one out, because it's technically a little bit redundant. Okay, is your website capable of using tabs, or is it a continuous page? Tabs. Oh, like tabs in like page design. So it is a continuous page. We are developing features over time, such as like expandable, like accordion type sections. So if you had something that needed to be things that you wanted to be collapsible, then we do have that as a feature. But like tabs specifically, no, you have, but you do have individual pages. So it is a continuous web page, and you can create as many of those pages that you want. And of course, link them together however you'd like. Okay, let's see if I'm missing anything else. Oh, perfect. It's so cool that so many of you know each other. How do you guys know each other? So a lot of people are familiar with each other in the chat here. This is great. Awesome. Thank you guys for sticking around today. Oh, you're a part of another group, so like a coaching group or something? Hey, we'd be thrilled to do a training in there for you guys if you ever want. We are available for that. All right, so thank you so much for your time, for being here today, for being the inspiration for us doing what we do. We're here to make your life simpler. There's a lot of different paths you can follow. You know, you're out there trying to figure out how to get this stuff done, and you're going to get 27 different ideas for everything that you want to do, and it can lead you in a tailspin. And really, what we love about what we do is that we can just very gently move you out of that spinny space and sit right here and say, here's all you got to do. And it usually just involves setting some things up with AttractWell, or maybe hiring our team to get some of it done for you. So we so appreciate you guys. We'll be back here same time next week, 2 p.m. US Eastern time next Thursday. Until then, we'll see you in our Facebook group. Take care, everybody.